Hey, y'all, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Mouthful TV, where we have like some dope conversations, and we definitely want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to join in on that conversation. So make sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Mouthful Space TV, and also hop in the comments, join the conversation, tell us what you want to hear, your opinions about what's going on out there in the world. We want to know what you want to hear. And make sure to follow us on Instagram as well, mouthful_TV, and follow us over there after the episode for the after party. And last but not least, make sure to subscribe to our mailing list on our website, mouthful-tv.com. We have some big things in store for Mouthful coming up this year, this season. So make sure that y'all subscribe to our mailing list, and we'll send it directly to you so you don't miss it at all. And so I want to introduce the lovely ladies that will be joining us this evening. Savage Girl Prayer, Miss Raven and Jakaya. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
All right, tell us a little bit about the Savage Girl Prayer and what it means, who y'all are, what y'all doing, and why y'all doing it.
Okay, well, as you told everyone, my name is Jakaya. Raven is my best friend and business partner, and we are the co-founders of Savage Girl Prayer. Savage Girl Prayer is a community created by women who love God, who come together. We create a safe space for women to love on each other, to be vulnerable, and we like to really focus on pouring into other women who spend their lives pouring into others.
Yes, so Jack, thank you so much for that, because you always do a great job at that. And if you all want to follow us and join the squad, you can go to Instagram, Savage Girl Prayer, also on Facebook. We also have YouTube. We have a lot of beautiful content on there, so please, you all.
They do.
Yes, they have some
Yes.
very nice photos there. Some of them that I took. Y'all should
Yes.
There's the photographer.
Well, without further ado,
I know they're not gonna not talk about the Hottie Bible study. I know we gonna let the people know about that because I attended and it was really good. So I want y'all to tell the people about that.
Yeah, so every third Saturday we have Hottie Word Bible study, and you guys, it's always so amazing. It's not like where we're just speaking over you, and it's really a conversation with everyone giving their opinions on the scripture or the chapter that we're reading. It's a safe space. It's very intimate, and so you all have to join. If you follow us on Instagram, go and follow us on Instagram. The link is in our bio, and we would love to have you all.
And y'all, it is good because I went. And it touched my soul, and it's hard to touch my soul. So,
and y'all really do make some really great content, and I'm so proud of y'all. I love y'all. I'm so proud of y'all.
Yeah, y'all need to get some tutorials on there too, especially the Mouthful.
Yeah, teach me your ways, because it took me a whole day to do like a 3-second TikTok, y'all. Like, why did it take so long? I'm starting to feel old, and I don't like it.
Like, Desmond, you're a whole photographer. Like, your pictures are always fire.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, so you should know how to make content.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically what they're telling you.
Yep.
I mean, but taking a picture and creating, that's another episode for another day. All right, without further ado, let's get into this conversation. Miss Johnson, you gonna take us into it?
So today we're going to be talking about self-awareness. So I want to start off by giving a definition about what it means to be self-aware, because I feel like a lot of people don't know. They think just self-aware is like, I'm aware of the clothes I have on, but I think it's deeper than that, and I want to dive more into that. So let me pull up my definition here. Self-awareness is the ability to tune into your feelings, thoughts, and actions. Being aware also means being able to recognize how other people see you. People who are self-aware recognize their strengths, challenges, and weaknesses. So what do y'all think self-awareness is, and what is something that you're self-aware about yourself, of course?
I think for me, self-awareness requires you to really be honest with yourself. Like, get to a very vulnerable place of being able to identify what your faults are, identify, like you said, what your strengths are, your weaknesses. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with really accepting like they are not perfect. They don't really accept the flaws. And I don't think you can be fully self-aware without knowing what your flaws are, how you affect other people, because it's not all about how you affect yourself and the stuff that you deal with, and how you react to those things. But you also have to be aware that you may say or do something that may not please everybody else, and you just have to accept that. Like, even if you don't feel like you've done anything wrong, at least acknowledge that you made someone else feel away. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot of work that has to happen before you can fully be self-aware.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch into like the work aspect of it, because you're absolutely right. Like, when is that moment that you realize like you need to change? Like, what is going on at that time to where you really figure out like, okay, I need to reevaluate some things. For me, if I can be completely honest, every time I set a boundary, like an extra boundary up, or I shut down something before even trying it, I have to like self-evaluate and be like, okay, why did I do that? Like, is it making me uncomfortable in a good way, or is it making me uncomfortable in a bad way? Like, is this a good boundary or a bad boundary that I'm putting up? And then it makes me have to sit back and be like, why did I do that? Okay, well, here's the pros and the cons. Like, literally, I have to reevaluate everything going on like at that specific time, because if I don't, I could potentially like block something or stop myself from growing.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's all about actually doing things with a purpose and doing things with intention. Like, you can't just continue to go through life and just go through the motions. Like, you have to be fully aware of everything and everybody that's around you, and make sure all of the moves that you make are with intention and with a purpose.
Yeah.
I really love that, because when I think of self-awareness, I think that it's a very foundational, like it's foundation for everything, foundation for relationships, foundation for, working with other people. So regardless of whatever you're doing in life, you really want to practice self-awareness, because it's good to know your triggers, what gets you going, what makes you feel some type of way, so I really love you all's I guess your definition, your personal definitions, because I really feel like all of you all just said the same thing. It's very foundational.
Yeah, and I think a good rule of thumb, like thinking about it now and what Jakaya said, like to ask yourself why. Like, anytime you do something going through life, like ask yourself why. Like, why am I doing this? Like, what is the outcome, or what is it that I want to come of this, in order to guide yourself in the direction that you actually want to go. Because without that direction, like like, it's pointless.
And that's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, because like when I was going to therapy, my therapist would ask always why. Like, why do you feel this way? Why did you do that? Why? And I never understood until I sit there and was like, dang, she really tapping into me. And then on top of that, she kind of made me self-aware about something that I kind of knew, but she asked me like, what is it that you like about yourself? What is it that you like about yourself, and what do you accept about yourself? And I couldn't really have I didn't have an answer. But when she asked me what did I dislike about myself, I had a lot of like
a long list.
And so
we are our own worst critics.
Yes. And that was something that I knew I had a problem with. I was self-aware about it, but she kind of like threw it out at me. Like she was like, okay, that's an issue, right? And I'm like, okay, that is an issue. But I wanted to tune into my feelings and everything else when I had a kid. Like when I had a kid, that's when I was like, I need to tap into myself, because I need to fix those, because I don't want to pass that down to her. That's when I started really just, okay, Miracle, you got to change this. You got to do this. And I think that's important. And I also think that being self-aware is allowing God to show you who you are too. And like, because for me now, a lot of things that I do now, I ask God for his approval, and I ask him to be with me in that moment. Like, come with me on the journey. I want to make sure you're here with me before I step into something. So it seems like ever since I've done that, everything has been good. Like every manifestation has been good. Like I'm on the right track. Of course you get off track a little bit, but I mean, in the last couple months, I've been blessed. So
yeah, and I was just going to say, as far as like when you said about getting off track, like there's one thing to ask God for guidance, right? But there's another thing to ask for the guidance, take the guidance and apply it, as opposed to still wanting to do your own thing. Because once he gives you that guidance, it may not look ideal to you. Like, why would I do this? Or I feel like it would be much easier to go this way, or whatever the case may be, instead of just listening and submitting to him and what he's telling you. And like once
He
you
knows
get
you
to
better
where,
than you know you.
and
Yeah.
once you get to where you're trying to go, baby, the light. It's
Yeah.
so much light.
I think, and that's like one of the like steps in obedience, like when following God. And we talked about that in Hottyware yesterday, about being obedient to God and really allowing for him to lead you. But I know sometimes, well, a lot of the time during the obedience stage, we are like very uncomfortable. And some people feel like they're losing their self in the obedience stage. However, God is transforming you to be better. And
You are.
and I don't know how many, like, I don't know if y'all can relate, but if you've ever been like in the obedient stage, or when you have been in the obedient stage to where you cutting off a lot of things you're used to and you feel like, dang, I'm no longer the same person. But it's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the entire point.
Yeah. And I think that's an issue for not just a lot of people, but for me. Sometimes I think sometimes I'm scared for God to show me or make me aware of different things, because either I'm just scared or I'm not, trusting him or whatever too. And sometimes, like I'm self-aware of it, but when somebody tell me about my self-awareness, I kind of like jump at them. Like a lot of people can't take constructive criticism. And I feel like you have to take that, because that's how you grow.
That's how you grow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you grow and become better. And I, one of the things that through my journey of self-awareness, like I realized that I took a lot of time trying to please other people. And so like I would overexert myself trying to make sure everybody around me was okay and they were good. And like I really had a conversation with God one day, and he was like, take care of yourself, because you can't continue to be there for other people and you're not taken care of. Like I understand that that's what your purpose is in life, to help other people, but you can't help anybody else unless you help yourself. And so that required me to do a lot of like letting people go, because y'all know me, there are times where I like shut down, I don't talk to nobody, I have to put my phone on do not disturb, like I don't want to be bothered, because I'm having that time with myself and I need it, because I've been giving me to so many other people. And I feel like ever since then, I've been able to identify that. Like I feel so much happier. I was always tired. I'm just, and now, like I'm happy. The more self-aware I become, the happier I am.
I love how you said that, Desmond. And actually, all of y'all, like, I have a question for y'all. So, because I see, like, when okay, so I'm an educator. That's what I love to do. I love teaching children. And one of the things that the kids always do, I mean, all the time, it can get on my nerves sometimes, but they always like, why I gotta do this? Why I gotta do that? Why are we supposed to do this? And at first, when I was first new to education, I would just be like, well, this is what you're supposed to do. And I wasn't really explaining to them, giving them those reasons, like, why do you have to share? Why do I have to, I brought this for me. Why do I have to give it to someone else? And I think when we shut children down at a young age, of course, those children are going to grow into adults. And it's so difficult for us to learn things about ourselves because we were shut down as children. I remember I used to ask my mom when she used to tell me that I couldn't do anything as a teenager. I was used to be like, why can't I not go hang out with my friends? Like, what's gonna, like, why can I not do that? And instead of, if she would have just told me, I'm scared this may happen to you, then it would have taught me as I got older to make decisions differently. But just telling me that you just can't do it because I said so, that started to become the thing that I did for myself. So I just want to know, like, do y'all feel like maybe the reason why, you weren't as self-aware as you should be now, is it because of your childhood?
Yes.
I know for me, definitely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's only because as a child, right, we're curious. We're still trying to learn. We're still trying to find our way. And we're very easily influenced. I think as we're younger, we see things and we hear things, and like they easily influence us. So those they kind of take us off the path of where we should be. And so my thing for me was I didn't have very deep relationships as a child. Like all of my relationships were like superficial, like they were very surface level. And I felt like being in a world full of people, I was alone, which was crazy. And so I had to really break myself out of it because it was very hard for me to sustain relationships because I didn't have those connections to really put work into relationships. So as I got older, I definitely know there's a lot of different things as a child that I should have been more aware of.
I think too, though, like some of the stuff, I feel like if they did explain, we probably wouldn't still understand. But I think that if you give it a chance, like Raven said, you never know, especially with kids nowadays, they're so smart. But I totally agree because like when I was a child, I couldn't spend a night over anybody's house. Like if I had a sleepover, like I could go to the sleepover, but when it's time to go to sleep, I would go home and then I'd come back. But I never understood that until now because it's so many things that did happen that shouldn't have happened. And so many kids are so exposed to things that I wasn't exposed to. And my parents didn't want me to be exposed to it. So I totally understand that because now what I've experienced, even if I didn't sleep over there, it was still stuff going on, but I get it now. And especially having a child that's a girl, these kids these days are exposed to, they know how to
So
have
much.
sex
Oh
already at 5-6 years old, like they're exposed to a lot because they have so much technology that they can get access to anything. So now it's even worse. So I'm like, okay, I understand now. But again, had she probably just told me that, I wouldn't have been so angry toward it because I never understood it. But like Raven said, like, had she, said something, maybe I would have understood it. But now I definitely do. Like, because these days are different. Back then, we didn't have all this stuff. So sometimes maybe
So I have a question for y'all. So following up Raven's question as far as like seeing the why now, like would y'all ever take the opportunity to go back to your parents and ask them why, as opposed to you taking the time to really understand why later on in life? Would you go back and have that conversation with them?
Well, I wanted to speak on that because honestly, like growing up, like my mom, she used to always we used to schedule like meetings, like powwows is what you call it. And we'll be able to literally like come together and ask like any question, no filters. Like as long as you were respectful, like you can say whatever you want to say, ask any question. And she was honest about it. But I still have 2 other siblings who grew up. I mean, even though we're in the same house, they grew up completely different from me. My mom may have told me about sex and it made me not want to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really need to go out and see what it is because you told me. But my siblings were like, I mean, hey, thank you for telling me, but I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna figure it out on my own.
Right.
But I think that just the honesty period, it made me feel like a part of something. Like, my mom got a lot of backlash from it because everybody was like, you're exposing them to too much, or they're not like, they shouldn't be speaking on this, or a child should stay in a child's place. And my mom was like, really, I don't care. Like my children can come to me and tell me when I've hurt their feelings. They can come to me and tell me why they're mad at me, and I'm gonna accept it and try to grow from it.
That's opening a door to, I don't think that's bad at all.
I don't think that's
a lot of
bad at all.
kids need that. Some kids don't, but some kids really do need that.
Yeah, I think children really do need that because I mean, when you think about it, you want to get ahead of technology. You want to get ahead of the kids that's going to be at school talking to them about it. You want to get ahead of them getting, these things becoming perverted, because sex isn't bad. Going to parties isn't bad, but when you don't explain to them, the good parts before someone explains to them the damaged parts, then they're going to want to run after the damaged things versus the good things. And I think that that develops a lot of childhood trauma, especially with emotions. I know, like, a lot of times I see kids that are crying and they're like, stop crying, you don't need to be crying. And I'm like, you don't want to ask them why they're crying, so they'll know why they're crying and what made them feel that way. For like an example, I seen a child like she was crying when the teacher took her laptop away from her, and I was like, okay, let me go over here and just see what, let me talk to the children. They love me anyways. So she's like, I don't wanted my laptop. And I'm like, well, why do you want your laptop? Everyone's playing. And she was like, well, I don't know any of the kids and I'm scared to talk to kids. But if you would have just told her to stop crying, you would have never known that she was actually shy and wasn't able to communicate with other children. And now we've opened the door for her to be able to speak to the children. Now she comes in, she's the life of the party, the life of the class, but she would have never been able to walk fully into what she wanted to do if we would have just stopped that you need to stop crying because you're being loud and disturbing the class. So I think, and emotions is a big part of self-awareness. So if you start them to shut up their emotions at a young age, I think that it'll start to trickle down. I know for me, it's a little hard for me to be vulnerable with people that I really love, only because it was hard for me to be vulnerable as a child. So
that is so true.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's so true. Like, on point.
I know we're saying self-awareness, but it really seems like everybody else has or plays a part in how we view ourselves, or, like how we're in a part of our growing process. So like, I think it's kind of crazy how we're talking about self-awareness, but like you said, it could be a childhood trauma, or it could be something going on to where like it stops us from like truly reaching our potential.
But you're digging and you tapping into your childhood to be self-aware about who you are now too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I think your childhood says a lot about who you are now. Yeah. Like Raven said, if you couldn't open up to your parents when you were a child, it's hard to open up to people in general. Even when you're in a relationship, it's hard to share your feelings with your partner because you don't know how. You never did or got the opportunity to.
And what's amazing to me, because I was always a person that I internalized a lot. Like I would be walking around mad, at my boyfriend or whatever, and really don't even know why. It could be the simplest, the smallest thing, but because I allowed that one thing to stay in my head instead of communicating it, like I started to hate every other thing about him. And I was like, I have to break myself out of that, actually just communicate effectively, like not go in being combative or aggressive, like really say, hey, you did XYZ, I feel ABC, like, can we figure out another way to do this? Can we compromise? Like, we have to figure out how to properly communicate to people when you feel away. And that has been like one of the biggest weights that is lifted off of my shoulders.
And that's what I was going to ask you guys next. What is something that you're self-aware of that you need to change? Like, how are you planning to change it, or how are you, creating a plan to change it?
Well, that's I'm gonna let y'all think about it. But
how are you doing the work, basically?
So my thing, basically, just coming off of what I said about communication, like that example that I gave was in my last relationship. My current one, like I actually tried it, like actually saying that I need to do something and actually doing it. Like I let him know in the beginning, hey, I have a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of trauma I haven't dealt with yet. Like, and sometimes it may come out and you gonna have to deal with it. I'm gonna let you know now. So you have the option to stay or work through this with me. We're gonna work it together. And he was like, that's fine. Like I really have been trying to communicate. That was my biggest issue, communication. And I do catch myself like having these thoughts, like these traumatic thoughts from my past. And I would present that and we talk about it and we move on. So that it's like actually putting in the work.
I like that. I like this, man. I'm not answering the question yet. I'm just comment on it. I wanted to just say that take it back to Savage Girl Prayer. We got to bring God into this, but something that he has been telling me to constantly say is that we need to stop being mad at the trials that we're going through and really ask those trials, what are you trying to tell me about myself that I need to be aware of? And basically, like you said, in your past relationship, that trial taught you something that benefited in your blessing now. And so I think that that's what we have to do, because that's, you know, that's where the self-awareness come in. We need something to happen for us to be aware of, like, what is it that is trying to transform in me? So I just love that you said that. That was like the perfect example of that.
We can't hear you, Jay.
Okay. I'm like, absolutely. One thing that I've been self-aware of is growing up, like I'm very family oriented, and I mean, my mom has always been like standing strong on her own, like she'll depend on family before she will a man anyway. And I think one of my forms is like, I guess, being like vulnerable in the submission stage, because I know that, like, I mean, I don't really need you, because I know I can call my mama, I can call my family, and they're gonna take care of it. They're gonna help me, like, so either you're gonna do it, or if not, like, or sometimes I don't even give them the opportunity to at all, because I'm like, let me just call my mama real quick. But that's something I'm aware of. And I know that if I want to be in a healthy marriage, with a healthy family, I cannot always run back to my family in order for them to help me. Like, I need to use the resources within my home at that time. So that's one thing that I'm very self-aware of, that I am working on. And I have to be able to like trust outside of my family circle.
That's like me, money too. Like, I have a problem with asking people for stuff, or like asking for help, because it's like when I do, people just don't do it, you know, like they have an excuse. And for me, I stopped asking, like, but that is a problem in relationships, because if you never ask, you don't get it. And if you don't get it, then you feel like, okay, well,
you got an attitude about it.
Yeah, you got an attitude about it, but you have to voice that, you know, what it is that you want. And I'm learning that too, money. So I'm with you, because it's hard, because you like we you know, our mamas, you know, they held it down. Mm-hmm. They held it down on their own. So we like, well, that's all we know,
right?
You know, like that's all we know.
Or we feel like they're not gonna do it right, like
yeah. Or we seen that they didn't really have any help, so we just prone to just doing it, just going out and doing it. Sometimes I don't mean anything by it, but it's just me. I'm a go-getter. I'm gonna get it done, whether you want me to or not, you know. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. But Fred is here, so we're gonna let Fred in. I didn't want to bring him in while Money was giving us some gems there. So hold on.
Jakaya, you embarrassing.
I'm sorry, Jakaya.
I'm just like
I'll edit it out.
No, it's okay. I'm just
I was practicing too.
I know. That's exactly how Jazz was. Like, I'm like, Jazz.
Hey, Fred.
What's good?
So nice of you to join us, sir.
Hey, brother. My fault, man. My fault, man.
Okay, so we here. We was talking about how we plan to correct our issues, or like problems that we have or that we're self-aware about. So that's what we're talking about, Fred. We'll give you a chance to, you know, get settled in.
Get acquainted. But I do know that, because I wanted Raven to get her point out. I know she was going to say something, and I hope you remember what it was.
Yes, I feel like everyone know I'm about to say something on my face. Like, I got to figure out what that is on my face. I'm going to say something. But yeah, I was going to say that what my thing that I'm trying to be, you know, I'm trying to work on is my confidence. I think that I've been so broken as a child with so many things, and I really let it sit in my life so long and sit inside so long, and I never really dealt with it. And now as an adult, it's coming out, and I'm just like, whoa, like I'm not ready to, you know, I'm really not ready to face it. But God has really been placing me in situations where, like, no, you need to get this taken care of, because I can't take you to the next place, because you still, you know, having issues with even, you know, doing certain things. And so I really feel like I've been trying to put myself out there more, and dating myself is so hard. Going to a restaurant, sitting down looking goofy by myself.
Oh, I loved it.
I'm starting to love it now, but it was so hard at first. I felt so awkward. I felt so awkward to even like talk to myself, like, you know, and really like, you know, you can say affirmations, cool, you are beautiful, you are not, but when you really look in the mirror and you look at yourself and you like, sis, you are beautiful, it's like takes something else out of you. And, you know, just like really finding love in this uncomfortable place with myself has really helped me out a lot.
That's real, Raven. And it got me thinking, like, I know you said from your childhood and then now you're an adult, but it has me thinking like throughout all these stages of our lives, like we're gonna have to continue to be self-aware and reevaluate ourselves through every single stage, because like from college to adulthood, I've had to literally like turn my whole life around. Like I found out so many new things about myself. I had to like figure out who I was as an adult, like because in college it's so easy to just make good grades and be a part of the team and build all these like in all these organizations, but after you're gone and you have to like really step into like your own lane,
figure out who you are.
Yes, because God creates all these different lanes, and even though you may be doing the same thing as somebody else, like your lane is your lane. Can't nobody cross it, can't nobody do it like you. So like really having to tell him to like, God, like what is them, like what roadblocks am I about to reach on my lane? Like help me out, because it's so hard.
And kind of going back into so what I was saying, that when my therapist asked who this, what are you laughing at?
I was being distracted. I'm sorry. Okay. I was trying not to put it on my face.
No, but like kind of going back to when I told y'all my therapist asked me about like, what is it that you like about yourself? And Raven, when you said what you just said, that's an issue, because it's like, not only do I not believe in myself, but I don't have the confidence to feel like people, like some people be like, Miracle, you're cute, you're beautiful. And I'd be like, okay, you know, like I don't accept it. So when you said it's hard to accept it, I had to do that when I became a parent, because like Money said, like you have to reevaluate yourself. Like I don't want like Lenny to be like me in confidence wise, especially because when I was her age or when I was growing up, being a dark-skinned girl, I didn't think I was, you know, beautiful, because, you know, dark-skinned people was not in back then. I mean, we are now, but we wasn't back then. So it's like I had to reevaluate myself and like figure that part of me out. And I think that's so important, because Raven, you may not want to face it, but once you face it, you get better, because I am getting a lot more better than I was before. So girl, tap into that. Tap into it before you become a mom. Tap in before you be married, because that takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it really does. On my soul, it really do.
Not it coming soon. I'm sorry. But I love that you said that, Miracle, because that's so facts. And I think like I think we really overlook how things can trickle down through generations. Like everyone think about the generational curse, financial issues, but it is so many generational curses out here that we're missing the mark with. We're missing the mark with insecurities falling out. Like my mom, we have this conversation all the time. Like my mom, I'll get on the phone with her. I'll be like, Mama, you look so good. She's like, oh, I sure hate it. And I'm like, Mama, you do.
It's hard to accept it though, because that's not the way you feel about yourself. So when somebody tell you that, you don't believe it. And then I'm telling you,
and I feel like those thoughts and that mindset, it applies to so many things outside of the physical appearance. Like a lot of people have confidence issues in their physicality, but there's so many other things and insecurities. Like I didn't believe in a lot of my work, especially when I started doing photography. Like I thought my work was so trash, y'all. And so many people would be like, your work is so good. Like y'all said it earlier. And I was like, your work is so good. And I was like, I know. I think it's just me wanting to do and be better all the time. I'm always trying to figure out a way to improve. And as opposed to it seeming like I'm a driven person, I want to, you know, really work hard and do better. It started to reflect as an insecurity because I didn't believe in the work that I've already produced. You know what I mean? So
I think that's the reason. I think the reason there's a lot of people feel that way is because of the fact that you are always your biggest critic. You are always your biggest critic. So no matter what you do, you are, because you try to push yourself to become better at each level. And that's not saying that that's a bad, but one thing it makes it hard for us to accept any other compliments from other people, because we know that, like, you know what, but like we always find something in us, like, you know, that they're like, okay, well, I could have did that better, or I could have did that better. To everybody else, it may look fine, but to you, because you are your biggest critic, and man, you do a damn good job, bro. You really do. You do a really good job.
It.
For sure, you do a really good job, bro. And that's, you know, that's, you know, and that's, I speak highly of you and the work that you do.
But how do you get to that point, Fred? Like, how do you get to that point? Like, how do you think you get to that point where you take not criticism, but you take the blessings that people are giving you or the compliments without like rejecting it?
Blocking
oh
it.
no, it's not there. Like, how do you get that? Because I've seen people all the time. I know a lot of people who be like, girl, yes, I know, I can't do that. You know, like, how do you get there? I'm not saying that you're supposed to say, you know, don't get me wrong, but you get what I'm saying.
I think it all comes with learning how to be more comfortable with your work, and know that and be comfortable with knowing that you're good at it. If you know that you're good at it, and knowing, I think it's a process with it. That's what I think. It's a whole process of trusting yourself. But like, if you're able to trust yourself, at least get to that point where, like, you know, I trust myself, and I trust in my work, that my work is good. I think slowly but surely you kind of gain that confidence along the way. Same thing. I think, like, when it comes to having faith about anything.
Yeah, and one thing that honestly helped me, Miracle, was for me to literally, and I know we're just talking about one particular instance, say for instance, photography. I would have to sit there, look at my picture, and tell myself that I did a great job. Like, I literally had to verbalize it, and so I could hear it, as opposed to me thinking it, because there's already so many other things going on in my head. So that thought can get clouded and lost in everything else that's up there. So I literally had to sit and say out loud, you did a good job.
That's one thing me and Raven are working on, because like, we can give each other compliments, and the other person will always make an excuse. So like, I could be like, Raven, you did a really good job on the prayer today. She's like, well, you know, I mean, and we would stop and tell each other, like, you say thank you, like, give yourself some
right.
And even like what you said about completely missing, like, or completely enjoying the season that you're in, and like being happy with your work. We literally would like go to meetings every single month and plan out the next month without saying like, what did we do good last month? So now in our meetings, before we even start talking about what we need to do, what's on the to-do list, we're like, okay, share something you think went really well last month. What's one accomplishment that you're really proud of that we did together and we've accomplished together? And it makes the space so much better. It makes us eager to like plan for more, because we're actually happy about what we already produced.
That's a good strategy. That's doing the work.
It really is. Absolutely. And I think for what I do know about everybody on this panel right now, it's like, I know that we're all very driven people. So I know one thing I battle with is, if I do get content with knowing that my work is good and I did a good job, like, I don't want that to deter me from wanting to continue to grow. And so I don't want to be complacent in what I did produce. Like, I want to produce more, and I want to produce it better next time so I can continue to grow. And I don't want those thoughts of being complacent to get stuck there.
Right. I feel it.
You was about to say something. I seen your finger.
I was just gonna say, like, I think can I share a quick story with y'all, if y'all don't mind?
Sure.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you.
Love a testimony.
I mean,
it really is. For the longest time, like, when I mean to tell you, it's a process. For the longest time, I was never able to take a compliment from nobody, because of what I believe. For me, like, when oh, Frey, you handsome, you are handsome. I didn't believe it. I'm serious. When I was like, Frey, like,
I understand why.
I would hear it all the time. Hey man, I didn't believe
I'm just like, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
No, for real, like, for the longest time, because I never from, like, not even just past relationships I had, it was like even though I ain't gonna, well, let me not go all the way there.
Air it
But
out,
let me
Fred,
put it
air
like
it
this.
out.
No, I'll put it like this. Just relationships I've had, and just like as as far as men, we don't talk about how much sometimes words impact us in a way. And so we just like to sweep things up under the rug and we don't talk about it. So for the longest time, even though, of course, your mama always gonna tell you, boy, yeah, it's always been my mama. But when I hear it from other people, even, it never really, because of everything that's happened, I never believed it at all. So when it was a process, it took me into a dark place, or some place where I didn't want to be, along with some other problems and issues that I had swept up under the rug that I never ever dealt with. But once I got older, then I realized how much, like, man, look, I'm a father of two now. It's things that you have to, that before you want to bring kids, you want to deal with all your issues, all your problems. Sometimes they don't happen.
Absolutely.
So it's like, tell you, it was a process. Like, it was a process for me, a process. And even now, if I get a compliment now, I have to, I take it, instead of me like just automatically just knocking it down. I say, thank you, I appreciate it. And I take it for what it is. I take it for what it is, because it's a process of something that I worked on to build myself, or to build that confidence in myself.
Yeah, and that's one thing I did want to say earlier. Like, self-awareness is, I feel like it's never done. It's never
It's
like
never,
one.
because you're
It's never going to be
person every
completed.
5 years, I believe.
Absolutely. So
But do
it's
y'all
like
think
it's going to always continue to be a process.
do y'all think it do y'all think it's deeper than that? Because like everybody on here is saying that, we can't take compliments. And for me, I know it's deeper for me, because like I just never had from the jump. Like I never have, and it's not because I never seen it, but it was just because it was some mean
Well, also
kids
people
in
be lying too,
elementary.
man.
Like it was some
People
mean
be
kids
lying
that
too.
tell me, hey, I'd rather have this girl than you because this and this. So that brings my self-esteem all the way down. Because I'm gonna be honest with you.
Lying.
Huh?
People be lying.
Yeah, I'm saying like in elementary, like when we in elementary, kids are rude. So there were some compliments, where, guys would be like, hey, I'd rather have her because you not this. But now they say, oh, dang, you grew into a beautiful young lady. And I'm like, that's supposed to mean, like, and that's where it comes in for me. So I'm asking y'all, like, do you think it digs deeper than just you criticizing yourself? Because we're our biggest critics. I think it's deeper.
Absolutely. For sure.
To.
And I think that particular type of insecurity can be planted in many different ways. And I think mine is because of the fact that I didn't see it. You said you saw it, so you got that particular insecurity from your experiences outside of home. And I think mine started in the home because I never heard it. I never heard good job, like I'm proud of you. Like I never heard it.
I mean, I heard it from my mom, but I didn't hear it from, like my dad. So that stems a lot too. So, but you look at that torture. I mean, girls, we're always going to our dad, that's our king, right? So when you don't hear that from him, and then you get other criticism from males as well, it's like, okay, well, I'm never good enough. And I know that's where it stemmed from, but that's why I was asking y'all, did y'all go through the same thing? Desmond you said that it came from his home. So, I mean,
I think
crazy.
a lot of the stuff that we do deal with, like a lot of the baggage, the insecurities, the trauma, like all of that, I won't say it all starts in the home, but that's where the foundation of it is. Like that is where like our parents have to be self-aware, right? In order to be great parents to us, to prevent us from having to deal with these type of things.
And that's exactly why I like go so hard to change that, because I don't want that to happen. Like with Leilani, I know girls are prone to their dad, so I want them to have that relationship. Like I need you to have that relationship, because that messes a girl up. Period. Yeah. Like
right.
Period.
I know y'all say it's starting the house, but I don't think it's starting. Well, not for me. I was knuckling. I didn't listen. I didn't listen to nobody. So if my mom, my dad, they would tell me and guide me, but I had to listen for myself. If you're not willing to listen, then no matter what anybody else says to try to build you, If you can't, if you don't know how to start with you first, then it ain't gonna work. If you're not willing to listen, as a kid, that's the main thing that we're always taught. Listen. And there's always a reason why they say listen, because if I tell you something, then you should be able to listen to what I'm telling you.
Which I agree, and I'm not gonna take away from your experience at all. I need to know what I'm listening to makes sense. So you can tell me to listen all day, but if it don't make sense to me, I'm not listening.
It wasn't even listening. It was just what you didn't get for me. So like for you, it was probably listening because you were, being rebellious, or you just wasn't listening. But for me, I never heard it to be able to listen, so it's different.
And for me, as a child, I was always observing. You can talk and do this all day long. You want me to listen, but I'm going to look at your actions. So if your actions don't match up what you're telling me to do, then I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. So, and I also think it depends on the mindset of the child too. Like we say it starts in the home, but as a child, depending on who you are, like you may want to find that guidance from someone else, which is what I ultimately did. Like I found like I've always had older friends. Like as soon as I got to high school, all of my friends were seniors because they down here with me. They can't teach me nothing. I need to go this way. So I need to know what I'm about to deal with for the next 4 years. Like I've always been that person to look guidance, somebody older than me.
But I know with you being observant, like you're still soaking in something. So I know with you observing everything, so you were still soaking in all of that, which means it still could have affected it in some type of way.
And that's why I was,
Yeah. I mean, that is very true. I never thought about it. And I'm thinking I'm being smart, watching, analyzing, and it's still affecting me in some way.
And that's every child. And no matter what anyone says, because that's how we develop, because we observe what other people are doing. I only know how to crawl because I see somebody else. I only know how to walk because I see someone else walking. And I think that that's what we forget about with children. You could tell them that you only supposed to eat at the table, don't eat at the couch. And then if I see dad eating at the couch, I'm gonna be like, okay, well, we just say that, but we really can do whatever we want to do. And then you're already starting those patterns as children. And I think that that's the biggest thing is, like being a better example. But I think for me, it definitely started in my home, and I'm the 5th child out of 10. So attention was not given at all in my house. Like it was, yes, 10. And my parents, even though my mom and my dad were there, it was so much work to do with all those children. So it was, I mean, I can't really blame them. I mean, yes, this happened, but it really wasn't their fault. They only did the best that they could do. So I think that we also have to give each other grace. We have to give grace to our parents, and then we have to give grace to ourselves, because a lot of us, it just sounds like we're too hard on ourselves, and we want to give everyone else a second chance, but we really don't give ourselves that second chance that we really need to build from. And I think that that's the best part of starting that self-awareness, is saying
we barely give ourselves the first chance.
Right.
That's true.
Barely want to give it the second because you didn't even get the first. So I started saying just being like, okay, even if this picture didn't turn out right, you can be honest with yourself. Maybe this wasn't your best work, but hey, you've been having a busy week. It's okay, baby. You at least you showed up. Okay. Giving yourself that type of grace. Like, yeah, I did miss the mark of this assignment, but I'm about to do it now. And that's all that matters, that I got it done. I mean, of course, not starting your creating the laziness or all of that stuff, but just being able to say, having that room and that space to say, I did something.
Accept what you did do. Accept what you did do.
Instead of worrying about the things you didn't,
Right.
I like the word grace, because that's when you say grace, that settled my thought process. Like, okay, it's grace because God gives us grace. Why shouldn't we give ourselves grace? So
absolutely,
he said that's what came to my mind. But I did want
that comes from also just saying, just from speaking positivity over your life instead of reflecting on the negative all the time. Because if you always think about the negative things, that you'll be stuck in the same exact place because of the fact that you're holding yourself back. And you can't blame nobody else but you, because all you do is think negatively. If you manifest negativity, that's your result, negativity. So
absolutely. and I want to make sure that it's very important and very clear that you have to continue to be honest with yourself in these conversations. Like you can't speak positivity knowing that it's not real or it's not, something that could be, I don't know, executed. Right. So it's like make sure that you're being honest with yourself. Be proud of what you have done. There may be, this is where I had to become self-aware as far as my confidence in my work. Like, yeah, you can grow, you can continue to be better, but like we've all said, be proud of what you did produce in that moment, because it could have been worse. Like you could have not produced it at all. You couldn't. You didn't have to have the talent that God has blessed you with to be able to produce what you produce. So it's like we really have to be aware and critical of every little thing that we put into the earth, put onto the earth, because God gave it to you. He put it there for you for a reason. And so accept it and thank him for it. Make sure you thank God for everything that you have been through in your life, because you've been through it and you've done it for a reason.
And that's a great way to wrap it up. Like, what is something that you guys tell yourself all the time to help you get through your issues in life? Just in the end, just remember too, like it's somebody that's related to you on this show. So what would you tell them as well? I mean, for me, it would be like believe in yourself. No matter what, believe in yourself, believe in God. Those are my two things.
For me, it will be follow the plan, stay the course, like continue to like enjoy the season that you're in. Try to learn everything that you can, take advantage of the season, the waiting period, and just stay the course and follow God's plan. And he'll bring you through every time.
Absolutely. I think for me, you are enough.
I like that.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, wherever your life may be, you are enough.
Ms. Raven. No. Ms. Raven, go ahead.
I think for me, since mine was confidence, and if I feel like if any woman is just, really just trying to figure out, who they are and, accept the things that are about them, I want to just say, like, the biggest thing is you can't know who you are if you don't understand the person who created you, right? So I can say, Raven is this, and that, and God is saying a whole different other thing. Like, you might want to be a doctor, but Raven, I see entrepreneurship because I have this plan for you.
Absolutely.
So if you really want to know who you are and really accept who you can be, is getting under the person who created you, because you're going to just be competing against God if you don't submit to his plan.
Okay.
You ain't gonna win.
You're not gonna win. I don't care what you gotta do. You're not gonna win, because he is the coach that knows the entire game. So
he knows you better than you. Yeah.
So I would just say submit to him, ask God and be honest with the Lord. Like I think that's something that Savage Girl Prayer teach a lot. Like, you don't have to do these, oh beloved Father, God of heavens and earth. You don't have to pray like that. You can pray. Talk to God. Jesus, I'm not feeling this right now.
I be in there like Fred be doing like this. I be in there like
because I be really talking to him like that. I be in the shower, be like, hey bro.
Hey bro.
I don't know what I'm about to do. Like, I gotta do this, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. Help me out a little bit, please. Just help me out.
That's what he really wants. God doesn't want the religion. He wants relationship with you. He wants you to talk to him reckless. That's the reason why you go through the issues. That it's the truth. He wants you to talk to him reckless, because when you talk to him reckless, you're identifying your now, what you're going through. And we're so focused on, okay, I want to get there. And God is like, I got you here for a reason. I got you in this waiting season for a reason. It's really not a waiting season. It's a training ground. He's prepping you and preparing you for where you want to go.
Preparation. Because where you're trying to go, you are not ready for it. And when you get there, if and when you get there, when you're trying to get there on your own time, you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna block everything that God had in store for you. So just chill out. You'll get there.
Chill out.
God don't want religion. He want relationship. That there was like,
listen.
whew. That was good.
I have to show y'all this shirt because I told Jack that y'all have to get this shirt. It says relationship over religion. It was like a division symbol situation. And I was like,
use that.
That is amazing.
I'm gonna have to steal that one, Raven. That was good.
Still use it. I sold it from somebody else.
But
it's so good because I felt
is,
it. I love it. I saw it.
It's lamontapothecary.com. You can purchase one today.
Plug it in.
I love it.
Yeah.
What about you, Fred?
Well, mine is I actually say this a lot of, especially my young guys that I coach for baseball. I tell them, well, first off, somebody didn't make it this morning, but you're here. So realize it's a blessing that you're here. That means God ain't through with you yet. If you're here, God ain't through with you yet. So I say find your purpose, and walk in it. Because God's preparing you for your next step. All of you, He just waiting on you. It takes you to move. That's all.
And there it is. That's a great wrap up.
See y'all next week.
Right.
Thank you.
I mean, nothing else that needs to be done. Y'all just make sure y'all follow us on all social media. Mouthful_TV, Instagram, Mouthful Talk Show on Facebook, and make sure you visit our website, mouthful-tv.com. You can find everything we do on there, our podcast, our YouTube videos, the events that's coming up. So everything you need to know is on Mouthful-TV. Make sure you subscribe to our mailing list while you're there. Also make sure y'all check out Savage Girl Prayer on Instagram, right? At Savage Girl Prayer. Make sure y'all, tune into their Bible study. Was it every other Saturday?
Every third
Saturday. Make sure y'all tune into that because it will bless you. Anybody else want to say anything? Plug anybody else in? After party. Yes, after party. Wednesday night, right after the show. Y'all make sure y'all join us. What you gonna say, Daddy?
I was about to plug my new product. I sell dime bags. Listen, I sell dime bags of edges for the edgeless girl. Hit me up on my Instagram. I got y'all.
I'm not about to play with this, man.
Listen, I'm selling baby hairs. Like, who sell baby hairs?
Because we need it. We do.
I'm not about to play with y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on over.
Bye.